Welcome back to Broken Bobby's transformation page. In the late 80s, I became involved with drugs and would eventually become part of that lifestyle of trafficking, addiction, and violence. Over the next 20 years, I would be in and out of jail and prison. If you're thinking about trying something or you're dealing with addiction, your life don't need to go down the same path mine did. I hurt a lot of people, both physically and emotionally. These are my stories of how I transformed my life, and you can too. Let's get. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see by the title and the thumbnail, this is SNY Gang Claims a Body. Now, I'm going to read a little bit to you guys. I had to take some notes because I just can't remember it all. But on June 28th, 3 inmates unalived an inmate at Kern Valley State Prison at 8:06 p.m. The 3 people that were the aggressors were Michael Brown, 55. He was received from San Bernardino County on December 3rd, 1993 for possession of sales originally. He would go on to parole and be in and out, eventually catching I believe it was a 27-year sentence, and he would eventually turn that into a life sentence. Second suspect, Jerry Durham, 63, from Orange County, originally incarcerated in 1984, in and out of prison. In 97, he was sentenced to 27 years. In 2000, he would eventually catch a life sentence for an institutional homicide. Rex Dickey, the third suspect, 61, came out of LA County. He was first received in prison in December of 1982. 42 years in and out of the system. He would parole and reoffend, and eventually he would catch his third strike in prison. Now, here we have 3 basically senior citizens, 55, 63, and 61 as the suspects. Prison's a crazy place, guys. The victim in this attack was Dwight Gibbs, 24 years old. Only 24 years old. This guy was very young. Received from LA County and sentenced to 41 years for an attempted murder as a second striker. Excuse me. So, prison is a crazy place, obviously, right? I'm assuming this all occurred on an SNY yard. For those of you that aren't familiar with California politics, you have the mainline or general population, which is the people who are good. And then you have the SNY, the people that get tired of the politics. And, not to say that there aren't politics on the SNY side as well, but, they either get tired of it or the group gets tired of them. And they mess up one too many times and they get removed. And they end up on this SNY side. So the alleged attackers, as I've heard from numerous sources on YouTube, are known as BBCs. They're an alleged dropout gang that's been kicking up a lot of dust lately. BBC stands for Brothers by Choice, not what some of you people might think that stands for. And I'm not trying to make light of the situation because somebody lost their life. And, there's been a lot of speculation as to why this happened. And, I'm assuming that this happened on an SNY yard because basically you had 3 white inmates attack a black inmate. Now, when I was doing time in general population, something like that would happen. This would cause an all-out war. Assuming that 3 white inmates could get to a black inmate without anybody else interfering, if you will, or jumping in. Normally with 3 white inmates or any ethnic group of inmates, 3 Hispanic inmates jump on a white inmate. 3 black inmates jump on a Hispanic inmate. Like, it really don't matter uh, what it is. Like, if this were to happen on a general population yard, the whole place will go up. Basically, all the ethnic groups that were involved would turn into an all-out war, and there would be a lockdown, probably 6 months to a year, and then they would do controlled releases, and it would continue to go up, and it could turn into 2 years worth of lockdowns. Now, they've changed a lot of stuff now. It's not like it used to be, but I'm pretty sure this was an SNY hit, and if the victim wasn't involved with any SNY gangs, then that would probably explain why nobody jumped in and got involved with the situation. Excuse me. Now, I've heard some people say that these BBC guys aren't really about much, but if you look at the 3 alleged, attackers, like, these guys have been in and out of the system forever, and they've all got bodies on their resume, if you will. So, I wouldn't say that any of these guys were to be taken lightly. Like I said, one's 55, 163, 161. Like, these are older inmates. But, the thing is, in California prison, and I seen it when I was doing time, just because a guy's in his 50s or 60s doesn't mean anything. In that world, anybody is capable of taking a life or losing a life, basically. And age doesn't really make a difference in that. If you could be 65 years old, and if you mess up or you have a funny charge, they'll get on you. And vice versa, like these older guys, like they feel like they're being played out of pocket, they'll get on you as well. So, the thing is, these guys are working out all the time, and everybody's dangerous in prison, in my opinion. So, rest in peace to the victim, Dwight Gibbs. I don't know, and I will not speculate as to why I think this happened. From what the press release stated, Mr. Gibbs didn't have any funny charges or anything like that. So I'm not assuming that that was part of it. And, being on the SNY side, I don't necessarily know that race was a motive. Some people have alleged that the 3 aggressors were the Big Four group. I've heard some channels say that. I don't think that's the case. It's possible they may have been associates or even members of the white Big Four group when they were on the main line. But due to the fact that, this appears to have happened on an SNY yard at Kern Valley, I would say that that's, very unlikely that they were a part of any of those groups anymore. But the thing is, just because you leave the main line, if you were a killer on the main line, you're still going to be a killer when you get over to that side. So, the lesson for the day, I guess, is, if you don't put yourself in bad situations to where you may end up in prison for a long time on these high-level yards, and they have high-level yards on the SNY side too, don't get it twisted, there's level 4 180s on that side too, and, people get unalived all the time on those yards. So if we don't do stuff to put ourselves in situations to where we may end up on these yards, then we won't have to worry about stuff like this. Like I said, The suspects were 55, 63, 61. The victim was 24. Most people that are 24 don't, they really don't concern themselves too much with guys of that age, and they assume that they can handle that. And maybe one on one, maybe he could have handled that. I don't know. I don't know much about the victim, but rest in peace to the victim. And, my condolences to his family. And, there's a lot more victims than just the people involved here. There's families involved as well. And unfortunately, they're the ones that are going to suffer the most, basically. So, family, fitness, and freedom are the things that delivered me from living these sort of lifestyles and having to worry about being in these sort of situations. It's just a matter of making good decisions and, you know, continuing with sobriety. So, I hope everybody's week is off to a good start. Sorry I missed that live last night, but we were playing some board games with the family, and that family time is really important. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and don't look at the mountain, just start climbing.